Phoenix Rising with not one, but 2 wins. That's 2 wins in a row. How can they build on from here? Where is this team going? They're going to the moon, perhaps? Find out tonight.
Don't give up your day job, mate.
Let's go. Welcome in
Music
to
is
the
not for you.
PHNX Rising podcast. Appreciate everyone joining us here on this lovely, glorious Tuesday. We, of course, coming to you live from Studio K, presented by Circle K. Go on in. You can still get your 69-cent Polar Pop promo if you are an Inner Circle member. It is that darn easy to do so. It's fantastic. We love our friends over at Circle K. Appreciate everyone joining us here. I am Max Simpson, and I'm joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Owain, the Oracle, Evans. What's up,
Hello.
buddy? How are we?
Hello. You're going to keep that nickname going, aren't you? I'm not going to get away from that ever, am I?
Nope, you're not. I'm glad you've accepted it. That's the first part.
I mean, it's that point where it's just the resignation too, you know? Like,
we've defeated him. We've worn him down. That's what I like to see.
I'm not sure that's quite what I said.
That's what I interpreted.
I'm not sure that's quite what I said.
The heart
Mr.
hears
Simpson.
what it wants to hear.
I mean, you do hear what you want to hear a lot, to be fair. So
What?
I won't argue with that.
What's that?
Oh, nothing.
Oh,
nothing,
okay.
Max.
Sick. Well, hey, we got a great show for you guys. Appreciate everyone joining us again. Fat Kid, have a great show, guys. Thank you for everything you do. Appreciate it right back at you. Devin, with a hot dog emoji. I wonder what that could be.
Why?
I guess we'll find out later in the show. James Wilson in the chat. Let's get it, guys.
He's just sitting in the corner, just kind of shaking his head at us right now.
Oh, who's shaking their head in the corner? Oh, is it the Statlacky Reese? The hot dog helper?
The hot dog helper?
The weenie warrior? The bun bandit? The glizzy gobbler? The Frankfurter Phenom? Oh, yeah, buddy. We are.
Max is just reveling in the fact that normally, poor old Max here, right? He's used to kind of being the butt of the joke.
I don't know. I don't think so at all.
He's used to.
This is just how friends
He's
talk to each
used to
other.
this happening.
Reese is a dear friend of the program. He knows the spiel.
I know he is. But
there's
at
no
the
making
same time,
fun of Reese or
but
anyone
at the same
here.
Time, no, I know, and I agree.
And Damon would never do that either.
No, never.
No.
But at the same time, we all know that this poor lad over here is currently the butt of the jokes and will be probably for about another week, and you'll find out why very soon.
Well, yes. Also, of course, we'd be remiss if we don't shout out Mr. Kyle Cooper, K-Coob Sports behind the Mac, who, again, he took in his first Phoenix Rising game on Friday.
Congratulations, Kyle. They won.
Was it everything you wanted and more?
It was great. They won, and it was, more than I expected from this team.
So.
So.
Here we go.
Here we go. So here's the thing. Because they won, Kyle now has to keep going until he goes to a game where they don't win.
And then even then, we still got him to go because he's batting 100. He's batting 100 or 1,000, as they say.
Yeah, that's true.
You're batting 100. Maybe you're not.
You go into the games from now on. You realize that you've got no choice.
This is your life.
You will go.
I'm committed now.
No matter how dismal they may be, no matter any of that, you must go.
Yeah. Every time I've gone, they've won. So
that is no one will ever be able to take that away from you until
you go to one that they don't win. Yeah.
No. But I'm convinced that they're just going to be forever winning.
Yeah,
when he's going there.
Yeah. All right. Well, we better get talking about that last game.
We got a pod, I guess, to do right again. Well, we're kind of talking about Kyle's first Phoenix Rising match in the flesh. And let's break that down a bit further. Again, that was Phoenix Rising beating FC Tulsa with a nice friendly 1-0 scoreline. Their second consecutive 1-0 scoreline in as many games. That is correct, Fathead. Massive club. Again, just as a refresher on some of the stats there, right? And this is pulled from StatLackey Reese, and we'll get a visual on screen here in just a second, right? But just some of the stuff off the top, right? We talked a lot about the attacking, and you'll see that there shortly, but some of the defending, I think that is very important that we did not highlight. You're kind of looking at this was the offense is going to get the shine, right? The attacking play, you're putting a ball in the back of the net. The defending was absolutely great from Phoenix Rising. Now, granted, this is one of those cases of, right, is Phoenix Rising defending that good? Yes. Was FC Tulsa attack that poor? Also, yes. Two things can be two things, right? Duels won. Phoenix Rising, 45 duels to Tulsa's 35. Tackles, about pretty even on both sides. Fouls, Phoenix Rising had more fouls, and also interceptions, they had more there. Renzo Zambrano, stud, 2 of 3 tackles attempted, 3 interceptions. Lawrence Wyke, 2 of 2 tackles attempted, 3 interceptions. And then Pat Marboy, 5 of 7 aerial duels. Just, listen, it's a no-nonsense performance. It's what we've seen, and that really leads into, right, we talk about possession with this team, 62-38, but also the field tilt, 69-31, even more of a overarching, all-encompassing domination of just this club, how they want to play consistently, play that high line, have the defenders winning aerial duels, and keeping it within the opponent's end of the pitch. And that's exactly what we saw for really the majority of Friday's match.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, Phoenix Rising dominated that match. There's no real debate over that. And I think when you break things down at the end and you say who deserved to win the game, it's pretty obvious that it was Phoenix Rising who deserved to win that match.
It did.
Based on the performance. The issue you have, again, is that you can't afford to dominate matches like that and not put them away. When teams give you an opportunity to really kill off a game, to really put things away, you have to take it. You have to take it because down the line, there'll be teams that give you those opportunities, you don't take it, and then it will come back to bite you. And it almost did with Phoenix Rising. There was an offside call late in the game, but the ball did hit the back of the net, and that's how close you are at that point. You are relying on an assistant referee making the offside call at that point,
yes,
to ultimately keep you in that match. And look, it's fine. Obviously, there's only so far you can really count ones like that as we got lucky there, because like they dominated that game. They deserved to win that match. But at the same time, you really can't afford to not put games like that away.
No.
Because again, Sacramento this weekend, they will punish you if you don't find a way to find your way into the back of the net a few times. Other teams down the line. I mean, even you look at games like San Antonio, which is going to be a big game down the line. Okay, you don't want to risk dropping points in matches like that because even if you play well, you can't find a way to just really put a team away. You have to put teams away. You have to take advantage when they give you those opportunities, and you really, really have to be honest, score more than the one goal.
I don't disagree. And again, I mean, again, of course, leave that like if you haven't already done so. Again,
I mean, you can see how happy Max looks down there. Leave a like.
Oh, that's terrifying. Yeah, but for those just
you've forgotten that picture existed.
No, I see it every darn podcast multiple times. Thank you to producer Kyle. And also, if you're listening on audio, well, guess you have to come back and watch this. But I mean, again, this is where we went back to in postgame. In that, I stylistically, philosophically, I don't disagree with you. I'm going off the expectation that I just don't know if this team has it. And again, I think you're going to have to get comfortable with being very uncomfortable watching this team. If they take a lead at any point, especially a early lead or one like we saw first half stoppage time, Tomás Ángel getting that goal from the penalty spot. And just, here's the thing. They played an entire second half. They didn't bunker down. They didn't park the bus. They kind of held it. Yes, they should have converted more and they could have made this a bit easier on themselves. But again, I don't know if that's who they are. And I think we see in bits and pieces, especially against Tulsa, albeit a very weakened Tulsa attack, that they can ride out these games for spurts. It's a small sample size. If they get into those positions against a more prolific offensive attack, that might be different, but I think that's just the thing. I expect them more to go off of the blueprint that we saw in the second half of continue to play your game, bunker down where you need to, rather than relying on them to score multiple goals, because we just don't see that consistently.
Right, but here's the thing. That's all well and good to say. It's all well and good to be down the, you might just score the one goal and then you kind of got to get used to those nervy games. They're doing that against a bottom half of the table team at home. Okay? That's reality here. It doesn't get easier from this point. There are a couple of games that you could say, well, there are teams lower than the table you're playing at home. Sure. But it doesn't get easier from this point in terms of you've got more difficult games. There will be away games. There will be games against tougher teams. If you can only you've got to accept that you're going to squeak past teams that are in the bottom half of the table, that doesn't bode well for the remainder of the season at this point, right? A team that realistically, and I mean, I see this San Antonio, based on one comment, maybe better. I mean, personally, I'm kind of, this is an opinion one right now. If I'm looking at the bottom half of the table, to me, the team that has the most likelihood to probably annoy Rising a little bit by going on a bit of a run and kind of knocking themselves properly into playoff contention, I think that San Antonio have underperformed massively this year. And I think that they do have they have enough talent there that they could potentially start to pick up the pieces and go on a run at the end of the season. I think that some of their recent results have definitely been better. We'll just have to see what they manage to do with it. But I mean, you can't afford to, in a game against a poor opponent, still only struggle. Because if that's the case, how are you going to do when you go away to Sacramento this weekend?
That's fair.
Okay. However, I recognize again the counterpoint there that this team tends to play to its opponent's level, I think, a lot of the time. Even when they dominate games, they don't ever really find ways of pulling away. When they play a team like Tampa Bay Rowdies, who are a good team, but they played very poorly when they came here. Phoenix Rising couldn't find ways to step up and really get it done against them. Look, there are a lot of positives to be had from the fact that it seems like, again, especially the defense is playing very well right now. The attack is starting to find a little bit there. But we're still kind of in that awkward phase. I mean, we could have a listen actually to Diego if you want, and just talking about how to turn that dominance into more goals. And here's what Diego Gomez, interim head coach, had to say earlier today.
Just exactly what we talk today, like for a game that we manage and we completely dominate on the ball and off the ball, but still the score was tight. I think we need to keep building on it. We need to take better decisions around the box in this case on these last moments, and also put the ball in. Sometimes we were in good spots, good decisions, and the ball didn't go inside. Now we have scored 2 games in a row. We hope that it builds confidence also on the scoring part. I think everybody is working good and is making progress towards it. Today in the small sided, we were very good. We scored a lot of goals, so we were happy on that, and see if we can build from there. It's also a trust and confidence matter many times. So players that get the score, hopefully they get a little bit more confident, and we can get better and little by little get more players with assists or goals that boost their confidence.
I very much agree. And I mean, I think, again, going off Benito's Bluebirds comment of, again, Tomas, he finally has the weight off his shoulders to see if his form improves. Now, I completely agree. Again, this is what we kind of chatted about leading up to the penalty of, right? He missed it. He takes this penalty and misses it. Confidence absolutely very much more shattered, and you are digging for a goal. He makes that regardless. You can say a penalty, whatever. The man puts the ball in the back of the net, which is what he does. And it's something to build on. Again, we're splitting hairs here again, not to belabor the point further, but right, I very much agree with you. They should be seeking multiple goals to kill off a game effectively. But again, we're going to have to see. Hopefully this is something they can build on to where they can put multiple back in the net. But I guess I come from it as, yes, you're going to be facing better teams, but what is more realistic and what's more likely to happen? Are you going to be able to score multiple goals and that's what you're going to be relying upon, and hopefully that happens? Or do you kind of go after the fact of, like, listen, we want to get multiple goals. We should try to get multiple goals. But if that doesn't happen, can we bolster our defense enough and our game plan to ensure if we are only holding a 1-goal lead, which I think this team at times is only capable of doing so, can they actually hold it out? I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm trying to be realistic in that we're going to, I think, get ourselves in more of these 1-0 scenarios and trying to hold on rather than, we're at 1-0, let's put 2-3 on them and go from there. I just don't see that happening.
Right, but again, I mean, look, there's always a balance in terms of how much of this is down to how well you played defensively, how much of it is down to how poorly the other team played. Okay? And the quality the other team has. Here's what I'll say. The 4 clean sheets in recent games, which were high off of it to an extent, and I understand that. I completely agree that they've played very well defensively over these games, but it also needs the context, which is Tulsa, Loudoun, a North Carolina side that haven't been doing particularly great, and Tampa Bay Rowdies, who played terribly when they came to Phoenix. There's context there for that, and yeah, it's good to see that they're getting these clean sheets. But again, when you come up against different teams, like when you play a Sacramento away from home, are you going to be able to rely on that defense in those kind of games? Now, again, Sacramento may be the unfair one because, look, are you expecting them to get a result there anyway? Is that likely to impact the playoff chase down the line? Probably not. The more important games are going to be San Antonio. They're going to be Monterey Bay. Potentially going to be things like, if you want to steal an extra point or two, it's going to have to be games like Oakland, probably, that you're going to have to look to get those results in. But you're still going to have to find ways to do a little bit more, I think, against opponents like that compared to what you've had to do in these last few games. So, again, Tulsa, not great. They didn't look great at all in that game. And yes, it's partly Rising, but it's also partly the fact that they just weren't great.
That's fair. I mean, again, listen, it's this. I think we can go back and forth about this all day. I'm also trying to extrapolate where I think, dare I say, let's say this team gets into, I hate the P word this early, but let's say they get into playoffs. I think that you're going to find that I think you're just going to get a lot tighter of games. I mean, how many times did we see? Yes, we did see, both teams scoring and some of the back and forth, especially against the club that is now in a box. But, I just think that's not necessarily the norm. And again, while needing to be more clinical and stave games off, I think we have seen there is an opportunity to, kind of keep it close, go from there. Not saying they should rely on it, just saying that might be the norm.
Yeah, but they're still going to have to, again, they're going to have to find ways to score goals. And I don't think...
You got to score to win.
I don't think you do have to score to get more than 1 point for a starter. And I also just feel as though there's a risk down the line that 1 goal may not be enough. And this team doesn't score more than 1 goal at all enough, to be honest. It's about 1 in 5 games that they score more than 1 goal in? That's not really the rate that you need, I don't think.
That's
But again, you're down now to single-digit games.
Yeah.
It's getting close. The end of the season is in sight.
Yeah, it's we are almost there. I mean, a drop a like, 4 clean sheets. Let's actually take a look one more time of where we stood from a standings perspective. And Ryan, listen, that win, you kind of see those nice little up arrows. Rising going into 7th, but Owen, walk people through how, kind of the rest of the West and how this impacts Rising.
Yeah, so as you look around the rest of the West.
Say that 5 times fast.
No, you can't say that particularly fast,
Rest
can
the
you?
rest.
Colorado Springs actually have given themselves a little bit of an advantage there. Here's the thing I'm going to say. As you look at this table right now, Rising, do they have games in hand? Yes, they do. Are they realistically going to make a push for a home playoff game? No, they are not. That may be quite the negative way of starting this one out, but I just feel it's necessary to point out, look, they are 7 points behind 4th. There is, the team in 5th, they're in Memphis. There's 6 behind them. But those 3 teams, Colorado Springs, Oakland, and Memphis. To a lesser extent, Sacramento, they got a couple of games in hand as well up at the top of the table. They're going to be the ones battling for those 3 and 4 places. Phoenix down the bottom, I think they're looking more towards whether you're going to finish 7th or 8th. Now, this is a big one in terms of 3 points ahead of Tulsa now and 5 points ahead of the playoff line. However, you've still got to play Orange County. You still got to play San Antonio. You still got to play Monterey Bay. All of those are critical games that are coming up in the near future. You do have the tiebreak over Tulsa now because of the head-to-head there.
True.
But they are critical games with 3 teams that are sitting just below that playoff line. They're all 5 points behind Phoenix Rising.
Yeah, they are.
That's going to be the tough one.
It is congested.
All
right
of those
below.
games at home, though. No, apart from Orange County, sorry.
Yes. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah,
Yes.
to San Antonio and Monterey Bay at home, Orange County's away.
Okay.
Orange County is a Wednesday night away game.
Okay. Oh boy, it only gets dicier from here, man. I mean,
Yeah. Kevin was saving goals for playoffs, sounding like saving things for the summer window. You can't always afford to wait. We'll get into that one later.
Won't we? If you have to, I know we kind of talked about it a bit. Now you have a couple days to reflect. Giving a grade on Rising's overall performance from Friday, what would you give it?
A B.
That's actually very generous for you.
I think that's
very generous for you. I thought you were going to be
dominated
like a B-.
the match. I'll give it a B. To get up towards an A, you'd have to have scored a second goal, which they obviously didn't manage to do. I think a B is a reasonable. What would you give it?
I'd give it a 3 out of 4.
Giving it a 3 out of 4. He's just changing the scale here. He asked for a grade, and then he starts coming out with numbers.
No, I'd give it. I think a B. I think a B is fair. Even
okay.
like
so you're not grading it like you graded the stat lackey then.
Allegedly. Kyle, what would you give?
Yeah, I think a B.
Yeah,
A B is solid.
yeah, that is a deep cut. Reese, letter grade. What would you give it?
B plus.
Nice.
Reese
B+.
is B plus.
Very nice.
Ever the optimist that Reese is.
Ever the optimist. Well,
He might need that optimism
weird.
next week. We'll get into that.
oh,
later.
you are teasing the heck out of it, aren't you? Well,
Ooh.
listen. On the other side, right? I gotta talk a little bit more about some of the stuff going on with Phoenix Rising. Right, again, we got the recap from last week's Phoenix Rising Live. Talk about some players that are on that international duty and what they were up to. But in the meantime, we gotta talk to you about our great friends over at Branded Bills. Sound like Reese, quick, go get me a hat. And you know which one. You only have 2 ones to choose from at the moment, right? It's going to be our glorious ASU Branded Bills hat or our U of A Branded Bills hat. I wonder which one the current Sun Devil is going to be rocking. But Branded Bills, love Branded Bills. Producer Kyle looks so darn good. I wish he'd pull himself up on camera right now, rocking his Branded Bills hat, looking great in their nice, slick, white hat with the pitchfork on there. Let's go. Here we go. There we go, baby. Branded Bills. They look amazing. They can look amazing on YouTube.
Put it on there, Max.
You want to put it on?
Yeah, put it
this
on,
is like
Max.
signing day. You were wearing it last time. This is like
Yeah.
the PHNX Rising communal hat, but that is A-OK. Check out our friends over at Branded Bills. Great deal they have, right? Again, ASU hats, U of A hats, Suns hats as well that you can custom order and get all types of Arizona State hats. Go to brandedbills.com, use promo code PHNX to save 20% off your first order. Again, big thing, they have a lot of different things, great for gifts, holidays around the corner. This helps us out a ton too. Please, brandedbills.com, promo code PHNX, save 20% off your first order. Let's go. And also, of course, shout out our friends at Circle K. Circle K, listen, first, as we mentioned, right, go in, save 69 cents. That little 69-cent Polar Pop, it's yours if you're an Inner Circle member. It's that easy to do. But also, Circle K is just so darn good. You see this giant water bottle? 100 ounces. This bad boy, they literally said you can go in, fill it up with water and ice for free. That's just how nice they are. Nice little crushed ice. That's good stuff. And also, of course, Producer Kyle, we got a special one today for the nice little snack toss. Thanks to our friends over at Circle K. We got some delicious chocolate brownie cheesecake bites.
We're going to get in trouble for this one, I expect, and I'm getting out of the way.
This is going
to be a disaster, but go for it, Max. Come on.
Oh, boy. Mind the timing. Oh, boy. I'll say this now. Check out our friends at Circle K. Download the Inner Circle app. Opt in with just a phone number. Circle K terms and conditions do apply at participating locations. Here we go, Kyle.
Max is choking right now. You good, Max? You good? Quick. Do we need to start just like
That's good.
Reese, do you know how to do the Heimlich maneuver? No, he doesn't. Well, neither do I. Sorry, Max. I guess you're gonna.
That's delicious.
Okay. He survived. He survived. Everyone. He survived. He's safe. He's okay. He's struggling a little bit there.
Nice catch, Max.
Nice throw. Good time. I think if we're looking at the percentage of conversion from all we've had. PSR's Rising, I don't know if you guys have realized this. We have a lot of producers on the show, and very, very thankful and grateful that Kyle has been the staple for over the past couple months now. And our chemistry has been the best out of everyone from a conversion standpoint, right? Kyle's the top. Damon's been decent.
He only gets a decent.
Jacob Franklin has been abysmal. He was horrible. I mean, shocker. It's those big lurchy arms. All right. But enough snack tossing talk, although I can't talk about it all day. Let's get to, got a little international duty.
A little international roundup.
A little international roundup.
Should we talk about them then? Let's have a look now at the roundup for, of course, the two players were called up from Phoenix Rising. You've got Jill Margarita, who is off with Curacao.
Wasting away again.
And Darius Johnson off with Grenada. In this case, Max, that's enough singing for now. We don't want to get the copyright issues here.
That's how it works.
I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. I mean, it sounds pretty terrible. People will just tune out because it sounds bad. But as we look at them, obviously Curacao win one, lose one. So too to Grenada in both cases because they're in the same group as well in the CONCACAF Nations League.
Baby.
Yeah. But and they're in the same group. In both cases, they lost to St. Lucia. And they did manage to beat Saint Martin there.
They beat France.
No, they didn't beat France. They beat a small half of an island that is shared between the French and the Dutch. Now, in this case, Jill obviously playing a lot more minutes there, starting in both games, 90 and 1, 78 in the next. Darius gets 26 and 45. So they're both getting minutes, not necessarily too many. But in the second games there, assists start coming in. Jill with 2 assists in Curaçao's 4-0 win over Saint Martin. While Darius picks up 1 assist, it's Grenada's only goal there. Trying to get one back against St. Lucia. They will, of course, in the next international window, they'll be facing off against each other. It's actually Grenada against Curacao × 2 in October. Interesting enough. But so we'll listen now actually to Diego Gomez speaking about those two and international duty.
DJ and Gerald will arrive tonight to Phoenix. I talked to them this morning. They are all feeling good. DJ played 30 and 45 minutes. That was kind of agreed also with them, which have been in a good place for Saturday. He is still building up his form, and Marga has played 90 and 78. We feel like Marga is more close to his form. Also, he comes from many minutes, but he feels good. He feels good so far as today. We will manage a little bit then on training, but we feel like they're going to be fully available for the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's Rising has had players go on, international break before, some produce, some don't. I think we've had kind of mixed opinions on the impact, and especially when there's maybe not as much one. In this case, do you have a different impact on what these two gentlemen have done?
I think the biggest issue, again, is just how many minutes you want to put under Jill's legs. Okay. I think that Darius, it's helpful. He gets a few more minutes here, a few more minutes there.
Sure.
He didn't play excessively this break, and at the end of the day, I don't think he really could. He's being eased back into it, and I think it was important for him to get the half hour in one, 45 in the next. It's a good progression. But for Jill, we'll just have to see. Depends on how he is. I mean, at the end of the day, the last game was yesterday. It was a Monday ahead of the Saturday match. So I don't know. We'll see.
We will see. Okay. Well, I mean, that's good to kind of get our analysis right. Hopefully it does help the team, gives a bit of a perspective, but right, it sounds like for all the positives that it can do and getting into form, you're kind of worried more about putting mileage kind of on those legs. A lot of these midweek games coming up here and there, and just wanting a healthy roster to turn to.
Yeah, of course, that's always an important part. I mean, travel's not helpful either, right? It's longer journeys. For anyone who's traveled to some of those Caribbean islands, I'm sure you know what the kind of connections can be. They're not always the most conveniently timed flights.
Yeah.
Out of here in Phoenix, and those guys aren't flying privately, so yeah, you'll see what happens there. I'm sure. Look, again, it's fingers crossed. I think with Darius, hopefully just a good kind of helps to get him stepping up back towards playing full games. For Joel, just make sure that you don't overload him too much. You don't want to rush him too quickly with too many minutes and risk losing him down the line later on in the season.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, yeah, that's fair. Well, listen, it's great to talk about players, guys coming in, especially in the attacking role, and who can play a role. And I believe there was a topic of discussion a bit at last week's Phoenix Rising Live.
Yeah, so we were out there. We haven't spoken about this yet.
We have not really had a great chance to.
I think first things first, can we just address, I think, some of it in terms of the fact that only about 10 people showed up wasn't great.
Sure.
Understanding, of course, the limitations that come with doing it at 6 o'clock the day before a game on a Thursday at a bar, which isn't necessarily the most. I haven't mentioned anywhere, Max. Chill.
I know.
Oh, see, he's always on edge. Yeah, which isn't always the best location for kids. Whether that's intended or not, people do take it that way.
That's understandable.
Yeah, ideally, especially knowing the strength of feeling, I think that we've seen broadly from fans, from people online, from people in the stands who've been getting fed up at times. It's a bit, I think, one of those ones where it's weird to not see that then replicated. You had a chance. They did show up. They did take questions. Obviously, you can have whatever views you want to take of the answers to those questions. But if people are going to show up, you should show up and actually ask them those questions. But yeah, there were a variety of topics there. Shout out Joe Lowry, who moderated the thing, asked a few questions of his own in there. But should we get talking? Because I know you were kind of teasing at it with the attack. And do you want to read out the quote? Because this one is from Brandon McCarthy. Just as a starter here. And it's talking about kind of where they were at in terms of Danny Trejo leaving and some of the others as well.
Absolutely, yes. So as Owain mentioned, from Phoenix Rising Sporting Director Brandon McCarthy, we still had a lot of trust in what we had in-house. Erickson Gallardo last year came in, a major signing for us, just never quite got off the ground health-wise. Then we knew he was healthy. He was in a good, motivated place. We thought this is our Trejo replacement. This year, with a full, fresh preseason, he could really get off the ground. So we decided, let's kind of go with what we have right now. We knew we were going to have to address it this summer. Again, I think two things could be two things. And I know you got opinions on it, so I'll say with this. If you very much thought strongly of Erickson Gallardo, whether that is it's an evaluation. And listen, we believe that we mentioned this in his departure. He does have certain skills that some guys on this roster don't have, but I think that's mainly we've kind of noted in some of the more pressing attributes, maybe in some of, yes, the top 10 speed kind of being the pest, but maybe in terms of the creative playmaking, we just have not seen that on a consistent level at this club. Now, if you realize you do have to replace him, I guess the thing is, and we kind of mentioned this, it's bold to then say you're waiting till the summer. Maybe you feel very confident about the market and how it was going to open up. And as they mentioned, they did say that they were looking at a couple of other options that did not pan out. We're not going to leave that out. But if that is kind of your primary way of going with it and leading with, we already have an in-house candidate, I guess that kind of goes back to you didn't just leave Danny Trejo, you did lose other people, maybe needing to supplement that depth a bit further.
Yeah, here's what I'm going to say on it, right? You are correct in that, look, they said that they went off in the winter. They looked through various potential replacements. They weren't happy necessarily with the quality of people they were seeing and who they'd have to commit to. So that's understandable, right, that can happen. They then say, okay, we knew we'd have to go and look at it in the summer instead. That's where you start getting into problems, because at that point, what you're doing, you are playing Russian roulette at that point with your season, because you're assuming it's fine. Everything will be fine. We'll at least tide it over till the summer when we can then get reinforcements and then make the run. Right now, you're trying to dig yourselves out of a hole, and you're trying to dig yourselves out of a hole because you thought you could wait till the summer. That's the reality of it. Okay? That's plain simple. The other part I'll address there is a very specific, that Gallardo, mentioning him as a potential Trejo replacement. Now, this one comes from someone else in the league who messaged me that evening with, no one with a brain could think that. Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't understand. Look, props to people for coming out and actually talking to fans and all of that. I understand there's value there. Anyone who says that, I'm not even asking what you think. I'm asking what planet you're on. At what stage has Erickson Gallardo produced anything similar to Danny Trejo in this league?
I think the
before or after.
I think the thing is,
anyone with eyes who can watch the man.
I think the thing is that's not just a shot at Erickson Gallardo. There's not many players in general in this league that can stack up to Danny Trejo, let alone one that you have him in-house and roster. Even if you're saying, yes, there were some injury concerns getting fitness back up to play, that's a big, bold claim from someone that was under your nose the entire time.
Gallardo had a role with this club. He had talent. No one's questioning that.
Sure.
The man had a role to play.
Gave him the number 7.
But the role was not Danny Trejo's replacement. I don't know. I struggle. This is where the problem you get into then is,
Devin Owens,
how do you at that point, when someone says that with a straight face, how are you taking that one seriously? I don't know anyone who can.
According to Stat Erickson Gallardo has played 7 games with his new club, 0 goals, 0 assists, and I'm going to go with .007 007. Ah, thank you. Got it.
007. It was a joke.
There it is. Sorry. I was like, that XG is so low. That's not even possible. Got it. Yeah. Yeah, man.
Look, I understand that you expected more from him versus last season. I get that. Because, yeah, he was in and out of the squad at various times last season. I understand that. But to hold him up as a Danny Trejo replacement, as though he was going to be the guy to bag you all of those goals. I mean, I'm just looking now at the goals that he scored in his career, full stop. And it's not a million miles from what Danny Trejo scored last season alone. Danny Trejo scored, 19 goals last year?
Sounds about right.
Versus...
with some goal contributions as well. You're racking your head around this one.
I don't get it. I just don't get it.
You're racking your head around this one.
I don't understand it. I just really, really don't. I can't make it make sense.
Gotta love
and
it.
again, right, the rest of it, I understand, right? Players aren't always there when you need them. All of that kind of stuff, understandable, right? Not easy to deal with, not easy at all. But again, you can't rely on the fact that the summer is going to be your savior. It may be a better time. You see, I mean, they tell the story of the guy in the European qualifiers, right? In terms of getting into club competition, who was ready to make the move over here, and it didn't happen.
No.
But that happens.
Yeah.
That happens.
Yeah, it's right. That does happen. It's interesting how the other a couple other things we kind of grabbed from the Phoenix Rising Live is just how I think a lot of you've seen in a lot of their players. There are some that they've been tracking for a while. They even referenced Tomás Ángel. That's something where that wasn't just
we knew they'd been following him for a while.
Right. Again, that's just a reiteration. It's not something that just came apart or came to be in the last couple of months. Is that they've been tracking him over multiple different transfer windows, trying to secure him to this club for a while now.
Yeah. No, I know. And that makes sense, right? Again, Talented player, no doubt. Just needs to pull it together, I think, at a difficult time to really pull things in the right direction for this club. Besides that, of course, I mean, I know you kind of wanted to talk about tickets a little bit because that's something else that came up. And I mean, we can give a bit of context here in terms of attendances. They are now starting. There were a few that were kind of missing right at one point from the league website. We do have more context on there. Obviously, they've been dipping recently. 4,190 against Tampa Bay Rowdies. That's the lowest announced crowd that the club has had in the Phoenix Rising days in the league. You've got to go back to Arizona United to find a low one. 5,000 even against North Carolina. That feels a bit iffy. To be even. 5,000 even.
Numbers doing numbers.
The math be math. 4,937 in that game against Tulsa, which obviously again is a disappointing number. I think it's dollar beer night. You understand that
outside of the Open Cup ones from Wednesday that we saw last season, that was pretty much the
Open Cup win meets always draw poorly. They do for
everyone.
But
that's what I'm saying. Outside of those, that was the lowest attended dollar beer night I've seen.
The critical part to add here is that the club often likes to kind of bring up with obviously all the talk about, knowing one of the big factors in this is moving stadiums so frequently. Sure. That you have to consider, well, they were getting bigger crowds and you could fit in the original location.
Sure.
When they were just off of the 101 and the 202.
They did.
And the fact of the matter is now, right in this moment, they're not. And I know it's summer and crowds dip, but you could fit these people in the old stadium. So look, I'll let you explain a little bit more from what we heard on that night, and we can give a bit more context otherwise that we've heard on this one. But just go on, Max. I'll let you run through it.
Yeah. And I'll say, what's it called? One more thing about the dollar beer night. I think we even kind of noted that it was maybe a little from I guess the eye test. It seems like it was slightly less promoted this last one. Again, it's not trying to apologize or give excuses. I just think that was the fact of the matter. Why? That's another question. But I just didn't see as much promotion on this one. Maybe that's me. I don't know. But they were asked, right, why is attendance so low? It's very much down. You got a little bit of the early season bump, championship bump, if you will, and then it has been very low crowd showings throughout the season. Especially coming off a title-winning year, especially about so much hype and everything. That was essentially what they asked. And again, you can go and watch for the more specific exact answer. So again, not trying to speak out of context and not trying to paraphrase, but if we're essentially the response from Phoenix Rising President Bobby Dooley was essentially they were doing a dynamic pricing model before where it's like, hey, as you're seeing, you're able to offer different price points to where essentially single game ticket members were getting lower price points than season ticket holders. This is something that like a dynamic pricing model is very much common throughout a lot of sports, right? Again, here's the bingo card. I worked for Reno 1868 FC.
You worked for Reno?
I did. And it's like, right, it's something that you've seen utilized there of like, it is able to capitalize on, hey, kind of FOMO, act last minute. You can kind of save that coin the later you buy, knowing that prices kind of go down, kind of like our friends over at Game Time. But that's a boom. Look how you sneakily put it in there.
But you have a bit of context as well. I'll add this now as you have a bit of context. Max is correctly hitting on the fact that on the night, the real focus was on making sure that season ticket holders got value for that. The other bit of context I've gotten from this, from people around the club, has been that, well, it's more about the fact that as well, some people would just only buy them when there were specials on, and they buy those cheaply, heavily discounted tickets, and you wouldn't really convert them to people who were going to pay full whack.
That's what I was getting at. Is there's a reason why you bring in the dynamic ticket pricing of you're able to take advantage of either things like, okay, yes, this is like a big event, we're trying to pack it out, or yes, to your point, can you convert people? I think a lot of what this club has aimed to do, and we even heard this from Bobby Dooley when he came on the pod before the season started. They want to help create an experience for fans to where if this is your first game, You attend, you enjoy, you have a great time, a family experience, you come back and you become more invested in the club. And I think, right, by having that dynamic pricing, a lot of it was incentivized by, yes, a lower ticket price, but then would you eventually come and renew, become a season ticket number, become a supporter? The answer, right, in a way of doing that is conclusively no, or at least not to the degree that they wanted to. So by doing away with that, it's essentially saying they are trying to put more emphasis and value on the season tickets rather than the single game prices. That's essentially where he was asked, right? Hey, why are we not selling out the stadium? And the answer essentially given was, we do have mechanisms that we can pull in order to devalue the ticket and increase those single game attendances for those periods, but they're opting not to do so in order to bolster your season tickets and put more priority on that value as opposed to the kind of one-off single game.
That then gets more into, and I'll say this on the season ticket holder front, that gets into the fact that there are different ways you can create value. It's not just on the raw ticket price of single games. Yep. Now, some of that they do create value with. I know the people who do travel to away games get good deals from the fact that the club does give season ticket holders away tickets for free. We know they do host member events, even if I think more creativity could go into that. Maybe they could do them at a higher frequency. There are different ways you could approach those things, but they do them. Those are kind of some of the ways that you can go out and create value. I think the issue longer term, and I know the club will have numbers on these and say, well, people are coming or some people are coming back, but the fact of the matter is that the pie isn't growing right now, really. You may be seeing the amount of money coming in being slightly up, and it probably is because they're not discounting tickets as much as they have done in the past. But the attendances don't lie. That's kind of the thing there. When you get 4,000 people out for a game against a heavy hitter in USL Championship terms on a Saturday, and you get a very, very pitiful crowd there, that means two things. Number one, you can be as confident in the fact that you're doing all these things right as you want to be, but clearly something's still missing. To Bobby's own, to speak about what Bobby said that night as well, he did also say that even with his growth, it's not necessarily at the levels they want. That's not a surprise. Obviously, we know people in and around the club who have very strongly hinted at the fact that, yeah, these attendances aren't really good enough.
Sure.
They need to get better. Number two, if your first experience of a game is in a crowd of 4,000, yeah, you're maximizing revenue perhaps, but sometimes that can be short-term thinking in terms of growth long run with the club. It's awkward, right? Because both discounting tickets and not discounting tickets can be short-term. You have to have the right balance to go along with it.
Agreed.
But the issue you have with having a smaller crowd, perhaps with larger ticket prices, is that this club inherently has the stigma and carries the stigma of being a minor league club in a major league city. And when you invite people out and they see 4,000 people in a 10,000 seater stadium, you do not fight back against that. There was a time when you went to a Phoenix Rising game, even if it was a smaller stadium, the place was packed, it was bouncing, there was so much going, it was the ticket in town. The early days after the rebound, it was the ticket in town. In fact, that's why I think seeing how badly attended the last Dollar Beer Night was, that game against Tulsa, is so disappointing. Because we both remember the fact that there was a time in this town where Dollar Beer Night was the ticket in town.
It wasn't anything, it was the thing.
They were getting big crowds in a smaller stadium for that. Okay? It was, and the atmospheres there were genuinely very good. You managed to create something that this club can't really do in a stadium that then feels half empty. And that's where the problem then starts to come, right? When it is half empty, it feels flat.
It does. It does.
I mean, look, the North End was, I think, possibly the worst I've seen it, barring a midweek cup game.
Yeah.
It looked bad.
It did. I mean,
that last game.
Here's the thing.
And those are some of your cheaper tickets, right?
No,
if you don't want to be in the supporter section, those are your cheapest tickets.
And I think, like, right in speak, we kind of spoke off record to some of the what's called different members of the club.
I mean, obviously, again, we speak to a lot of people around the
right,
team.
And again, like, it's the thing is like, right, and like I totally get where they're coming from, right? There are numbers in categories that the public does not see that are up. And it is not, and again, coming from that operations, like coming from the team side where I understand not what everyone sees, you're not going to always see those revenue numbers. You're not going to see the things that it may not be as important to the fans or from the public standpoint. Those are still important to achieve. And I do believe, like, you can kind of see if you kind of know that industry that they are up in certain ways. And I'm not going to discount that. But going back to like the attendance, whether or not that is placed on high importance from internally or externally, the fact remains that unfortunately not for the club, to fans, all that other stuff, all that great revenue stuff is awesome, but that's not what's going to help like get that first impression of people. They respectfully, I'm not saying they don't care about like, oh, what are you doing in the community and what are you doing from a partnership side of things? I mean, I do, I'm a nerd, but like, right, from an attendance standpoint and everything, that is like your first impression in getting for people. And rightly or wrongly, no matter how you go about it, if you show up to a dollar beer night, especially about, right, where I'm telling my friends, hey, come to dollar beer night, all that stuff, and you show up and there's only 4,000 people or so, especially when those same friends used to come. And even if it was 5,000-6,000 people, but it was packed, to see such a difference, it is a bit deflating. And it's unfortunate because, again, we understand it's a different location. Bobby Dooley said as much as like you are not going to be able to replicate that exact scenario. And that was magic at brand redacted field back off the 202 and the 101. But right, like there is something.
You can call them by their name.
No, that is a competitive partner. Do not. No, I will cut you right. No, brand redacted field, and I will give it as that. No, but listen, you're not going to be able to fully replicate that environment just given on, just the magic and kind of that thing to it. But even if you can't necessarily get back to that exact point, you're able to forge something different and do new things. And I'm not saying that the club isn't, but it's just, you got to be able to figure out those different levers. I'm not saying that the club isn't trying. There's a lot going on behind the scenes that we don't see, but it's hard to sell that long-term waiting to the fans. That's where I go back to. I'm going to disagree
on one thing that you said there. Partnerships, I totally agree with you. No one cares outside of the club about what that impression that gives of the club. No, I understand that. Community, they do. And it's where actually something that I feel as though this club has somewhat let itself down recently, I feel, is that so much of the community engagement inherently is tied into partnerships. In the nicest possible way, I'm not going out to a credit union branch to go and meet a player making an appearance. Okay? If that's where the community appearance kind of side of things is going down, you're missing at that point. Now, some location appearance things can really work. But it feels as though, by and large, every time you see rising players, they're going out in the community. But they're going out because the things have been monetized and it's short-termist, is how it feels on times. It's about how we make money now to do these things. But you don't see, I think, a particularly ambitious attempt at growing this club in the community in some ways with that. Now, they do have, I will say, on some of the questions we've had in there about location and all of that stuff, look, it was said on the night, and we know more broadly, that the club does appear to have a good relationship with the city of Phoenix.
They've already exercised
we know that they are in discussions over other things. We will see what all comes of things down the line. We'll see. But they've got a line with the city of Phoenix that they say and tell us is good. But I don't know. At the end of the day, the biggest biggest real question marks, I think, for this club remain how they fight for relevance. I still think that there is a big question that the club, I think, broadly hasn't necessarily addressed in terms of what is Phoenix Rising, and I still think that they kind of go down certain routes of wanting to put a winning product in the field. Oh, we want people to come out and have fun. Yes. But how you put these pieces together is really critical. It's one thing to kind of say and give a vague idea of what you want to do, but you've got to find the way you then put that together afterwards. Because, look, if you're going to charge people, full whack for tickets and that, it's okay, fine. You're not doing the specials. You're not doing things like that. Understood. But then you've got to feel like you're really justifying people coming out. And that doesn't mean always, although I know there's only so much survey work that people have and so much insight you can have on the data. It doesn't always mean just the surveys that you give to people. You need to have a little bit more, I think, of a balanced approach to those things, which also includes the fact the attendances are down, which people speak with their feet.
Good phrasing. I've actually never heard that one. I like that. Yes, that they do. I mean, listen, getting out more in the community. I am curious to see those Phoenix Rising Live, if they're going to continue to do them, what those look like. I do like the intimate atmosphere. Again, 10 people. That is up for discussion on intentional or not. That's another discussion for another day. But I am excited to see those continuing. When we come back, right, we do have a very, very special announcement. But of course, we got to tell you guys about something equally as important. Our friends over at Valley Tap Room. Our friends at Valley Tap Room. Again, 2 locations at Gilbert and Queen Creek. Again, Gilbert, nice, intimate atmosphere. Great for hosting a Phoenix Rising Live. I'm just going to throw that out there. Right? But, then they have...
Max, we might have to get you to host a watch party.
I'll do a PHNX Rising Live. How about that? I like that. And then Queen Creek is a little bigger, larger atmosphere, fun things you can do. And, of course, Owen... Remind me, what did we do?
We watched
at the Gilbert location.
Football.
And then who did they beat again?
They beat the English.
That's
what
right.
A shame.
And who is a fan in this room? Who's a fan of that team?
The hot dog helper.
Yes. Guess he'll have to. He won't be able to relish that one. Hey-o. But check out our friends over at Valley Tap Room. Valley Tap Room. Check them out online at valleytaproom.com and find them on social at Valley Tap Room. They got the nice drinks. They got the taps, 30+ taps. Great fridges with all the beers. Lots of beers with lots of people if you're 21 plus. But anyone can attend at Valley Tap Room. It's a great time there. Karaoke, trivia night, all the kinds of fun stuff throughout their locations. Also, of course, become a diehard. If you haven't already, special for this pertinent announcement, that'll happen soon, right? GoPHNX.com is a great place to do so. Again, you get exclusive access to our Discord where we first broke this announcement before we even broke it on the show here. So little things like that. You get a free merch item every single year of your membership, and right on signing up, you get access to written articles. Owen, every now and then, when he feels like it, is getting out and churning it. No, our Owen does really good written articles. He's churning out those. You get access to Die Hard newsletter, premier content, fun meetups, activities, all these types of things. And again, helps supports us, right? Keeps us going, doing what we do. Means a lot. Again, become a diehard today. Have any questions about it, hit us up at gophnx.com is where you can find it, and hit us up in the comments or on the Twitter streets for any questions you have on that. We're happy to answer that. All right, listen. This whole show has been great, but now we have to give the most important announcement of the entire thing. Can I Come here, you.
He's trying to reel in.
Come here. I'm gonna reel in.
The hot dog helper.
I'm gonna reel in, man. Let's scoot down a little scoot. All right, this nice young man here, Mr. Reese, great guy. The Stat Like Your Reese, the hot dog helper, the Weenie Warrior, the Bun Bandit, the Glizzy Gobbler, the hot.
I thought it was the Glizzy Guzzler.
Glizzy Guzzler, the hot dog helper, the Frankfurter Phenom, everything right here. He has been, respectfully, he's been running his mouth a bit, and that's okay. And we're gonna have him do something to help him stop running his mouth. With hit producer Kyle, it's the Hot Dog Helpers Hot Dog Challenge.
What a picture you there, Reese.
1 week from today, Tuesday, September 17th, after the podcast. So here's what we're going to do. Right? We start at 6, pod wraps around 7 p.m. We're going to go right into our Die Hard exclusive Hot Dog Helper Hot Dog Challenge. If you are a diehard, you will find information in the Discord. Again, if you want to see this man do the thing, go phnx.com, become a diehard, join today. Tons of great stuff. And again, what better than this? Reese, how are you feeling?
A bit of regret now, I'm not going to lie.
Quite a lot. He's going to feel a lot more regret on Wednesday after that one.
Yeah, he will.
Oh God.
Yeah, he will.
Yes, he will. But Reese... There we go, mate. That's enough now. You can go back.
Rising dogs.
No rising dogs.
Not going to be rising dogs.
No rising dogs, but hey,
okay.
We're PHNX rising with our dogs tonight. We appreciate everyone joining us here.
If you are a diehard and you have any issues with finding your way around the Discord and
hit us up.
working,
Hit us
just
up.
let us know. Let us know in advance. in
Let
enough
us-
advanced time that we can make sure that you
Yes,
set up
General,
ready to...
with the 4 hot dogs. Again, by the way, the
He
challenge.
reckons he can do 10.
The
We're
challenge
gonna
is
see.
how many can he eat in 10 minutes?
10 minutes.
And he says he can do 10. At least 10. We will see.
We will see if he can
We
do at
will
least
see.
10.
You can see it all. You thought the tattoo Die exclusive was good, which it was. Get ready to see this one. Yes, appreciate everyone. You can join us at the PHNX Rising Podcast every Tuesday and Thursday, unless otherwise noted. Leave a like for Reese eating hot dogs. Follow us at PHNX__Rising.
Reese
Double
dogs.
the underscore.
Double the hot dog.
Double the dogs. You can follow me on Twitter at Max David Sims. You can follow Owen on Twitter at OJEvans18. You can follow the hot dog helper himself at Reese11_. You can follow Mr. Kyle Cooper behind the Mac, crushing it at K Coops Sports. We'll be back Thursday, 6 p.m. for another episode. But until then, it's a beautiful game, but it's way more beautiful when you have hot dogs. Good night.
We all silly like the mayor.